And here we are. Now you can see me. For those on the replay, you never get to see the little vault, the little lobby that we all kind of sit in before people have actually joined. And I've started the titles off. So we're just having a little chat there about social media and about Instagram. Good evening to those who are joining for the first time, potentially. They might be thinking, who's this guy? You might be watching this on Twitter. My name is Ross. I'm an actor. I'm a voiceover artist from Manchester in the UK. I scope twice a week, and I run a website called Act On This, the TV Actors Network. You can find that at www.actonthis.tv. It's a site where, effectively, I kind of interview the greatest minds in the acting industry and then put it all online for everybody else to watch and benefit from. So if you're an actor and you want to get further in your career faster, get yourself over there. Who's saying yo, yo, yo? Missed the name, but someone else has joined. Say it again. Sam is here as well. Or was that Sam? Sam's here. Quite a few people. All the regulars are here. I was talking about Instagram before we started, guys. I think Instagram, I've started using it literally today to promote Acts On This, seriously, for the first time. I'm going at it hard, like harder than ever, throughout the whole month of March, because I think attention on Instagram is massively underpriced when it comes to getting people to view your work. Actors are using it, loads of actors are on it, no actors are using it to promote their career. They're taking pictures of their dinner and their dogs. So I've started using it to promote Acts On This today, and I've started using the Instagram story section particularly, which I think is a really interesting kind of way to grab attention. And that's basically, for those who don't know, 10-second clips that you can upload to your story, and they last 24 hours. So if people want to keep up with you and what you're up to, they've got to keep checking back in on your story. When a clip gets to 24 hours old, it disappears. So if people aren't keeping tabs on you regularly, they might miss out on stuff. So it's one of those things that's kind of like, it's intriguing, because you're like, let's see what Fanny's up to, or let's see what such and such a body's up to, or that kind of thing. Keeps you coming back for more as long as your content is compelling. So there's lots of ways to use those stories, and it doesn't all have to be video that you film on your phone. I've discovered a way last night of uploading video that you can custom make on your computer beforehand and then upload that to your story, so you can get a bit slicker with your production. I'm going to do a load of tests effectively throughout March, see how it goes. It's already working very, very well from what I've done today, and then I'm going to share all that with you guys in the Acts On This community and let you know what did work, what didn't work, and then hopefully, we can all get more eyeballs on our work. We did that Periscope a couple of weeks ago where we said potentially there's 5 billion eyeballs on social media. We don't need all 5 billion of them to have success, guys. So tonight, for those, like I said before, who don't know me, I do 2 scopes a week. One on a Monday night, we do something called Motivation and Mind Hacks, which is a personal development scope on an area of life that's going to help you get further in your life and career faster. And on a Wednesday night, which is tonight, we do a book club. It's the 1st of March. Why do people say white rabbits on the 1st of March? Let me know. I know in the UK, loads of people have said it to me today. I don't know if you guys in America say it. But give me a comment if you say white rabbits and what the hell it means. Someone was saying it to me in the gym this morning, first thing, and I'm like, I hear people say it on the 1st of March every year, but I don't even know what it means. I would love to learn. So it's the 1st of March, which means we've got a new book for March. It's this book, and it sounds depressing as hell, but it really isn't, guys. It's a really brilliant book that's going to inspire and motivate you not to have the 5 regrets of the dying that are in this book. The top 5 regrets of the dying. A great book by Bronnie Ware. Has anyone read it? Anyone seen anything of it before? Like I say, it probably sounds morbid, and if you've seen it on the shelf in Waterstones or in a bookshop, you're like, I'm staying well clear of that one. But it's not. It's very inspiring, and if you're alive now, you have all the opportunity to not live with these regrets, because you can do something about it. I'll just read you the back of the book. It says, just so you know what it's about, it says, after too many years of unfulfilling work, maybe you relate to that, Bronnie Ware began searching for a job with meaning. Despite having no formal qualifications or experience, she found herself working in palliative care, and that's end-of-life care. During the time she spent tending to the needs of those who were dying, Bronnie's life was transformed. Later, she wrote a blog post about the most common regrets that the people she had cared for had expressed to her. The post, also called The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying, gained so much momentum that it was viewed by more than 3 million readers worldwide in its first year, and at the request of many, Bronnie now shares her own personal story in this book. It says Bronnie has a colourful and diverse life, and by applying the lessons of those nearing death, she develops an understanding that it's possible for everyone, if they make conscious choices, to die with peace of mind. Okay, so if you if you make some conscious choices from this book, you too can hopefully pass on to the pearly gates in the sky or wherever you think you're going with peace of mind, which is massively important. So I'm going to read tonight. Let me just throw up a couple of slides for you guys, so you know actually what we're doing. We're going to read chapter 1, which is titled, I Wish I'd Had the Courage to Live a Life True to Myself. So give me some hearts if you can see that slide now. Just let me know that that's on the screen. And then we'll just dive a little bit further in and I'll begin reading. We're only going to look at 10 pages tonight, but I'm going to still do the edited highlights of those 10 pages because the book is quite dense and it's quite small writing, so even 10 pages is quite a lot of text. So let's move on to the next slide. This is the slide I always put up, guys, to just ask you to share the scope. If you wouldn't mind, I would love it if you shared the scope. You just need to press the 3 dots in the bottom of your screen right there. Click on share, and then you can share it out via social media. Thank you, Fanny. See you always sharing it for me. Massively appreciate it. Anybody else, get it out on Twitter, get it out on Facebook. The more people we can positively impact tonight, the better. So appreciate you doing that. If you're watching this on Twitter, just give it a retweet. If you're not watching it within the Periscope app, give it a tweet. That would be massive for me. Lucy, thank you very much for giving it a little retweet there. So this is Bronnie here. You can see a little quote she's got there. It says, "Success is never about what other people think of you, but of what you think of yourself. It's having the freedom to live how you wish in a way that feels peaceful to your own heart." Kind of resonates with a lot of people because I'm sure there's a lot of people watching this right now who necessarily aren't living. The whole point of tonight is whether you are living true to yourself, really. There's been times in my life earlier on in my 20s, I definitely wasn't, really was not living a life true to myself. I was definitely trying to be something that I thought other people wanted me to be. And there's the title of the book there, guys, The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. So if you want to get this, get yourself to Amazon. If you're watching on the replay on actonthis.tv, there'll be a link to the book on Amazon. You can get it from there. Just click the link. And tonight we're looking at pages 37 to 47. Like I say, it's just 10 pages, but it's pretty in-depth. So I've done the edited highlights. I've highlighted for you just what I think's important, really, and we'll start. We shall begin. I'm going to try, as always, to give eye contact to the camera, read the book, and keep an eye on this. There's me watching myself, so I can see your comments. But if I miss a comment, I've not done it on purpose. Just say it again, and I will get to it at some point. So this first chapter, is about having the courage to live a life true to yourself and not live the life that you think other people expect of you. And it talks about a woman who Bronnie met called Grace, and it's all about her journey. Okay, so this is about Grace tonight. So it says, "It took no time at all for Grace to become one of my favourite palliative clients. She was a tiny woman with a huge heart. This flowed onto her children, all of who were parents themselves by now, and equally beautiful people." So Grace was a top woman, top family, great people. Grace lived in a totally different part of the city, which was unusual for our clients. It was a suburban street, like many others, with no mansions looming on either side. My first impression was it would be a good street for a television series, as it oozed with family energy. The thing I most liked about Grace herself and her family is that they were very down to earth and genuinely welcoming. Something that's just, what we all should be. My early days with her began as usually happened with clients, sharing stories to get to know each other. Familiar comments were heard in the bathroom about the loss of dignity Grace was experiencing with someone else having to wipe her bum, and how a nice young thing like me shouldn't have to do such an awful job. I became used to that part of my work, though, and tried to lighten up the situation for Grace and for all of my clients by making no fuss of it. Being sick is certainly a way to dissolve the ego. Dignity disappears into the past forever when you are terminally ill. Acceptance of the situation and of someone else wiping your backside becomes inevitable, as clients become too sick to worry about such things after a while. Stuff like that you're just not going to give a shit about. All right, well, no joke intended there. But yeah, I guess when you get hit with something so serious like that, none of that, that stuff really matters at all. Married for more than 50 years, Grace had led the life expected of her. She'd raised lovely children and now rejoiced in the lives of her grandchildren as they lived through their teenage years. Her husband had apparently been a bit of a tyrant, though, making married life for Grace very unpleasant for decades. It was a relief for everyone, especially Grace, when he'd been admitted into a nursing home permanently only a few months before. Grace had spent her married life dreaming of living independently from her husband, of travelling, of not living under his dictatorship, and mostly just of living a simple, happy life. Although she was in her 80s, she'd still been fit for her age and healthy. Good health gives freedom of mobility, and this had been present for her when he was admitted into the nursing home. Within a short time of her newly found and long-awaited freedom, however, Grace began to feel very ill. A few days after this turning point, she was diagnosed with terminal illness, already quite advanced. What made this even more heartbreaking was that her illness was due to her husband's long-term smoking habit within the home. The illness was aggressive, and by the time a month had passed, Grace had lost all of her strength and was bedridden. Other than hobbling slowly to the bathroom with a walking frame while assisted, she'd lost all of her independence. Dreams she had waited for all her life to live were now never going to happen. It was too late. The anguish she suffered over this was ongoing and tormented her enormously. Why didn't I just do what I wanted? Why did I let him rule me? Why wasn't I strong enough? Were questions I heard regularly. She was so angry with herself for not having found the courage. Her children confirmed the hard life she had experienced, and their hearts felt for her, as did mine. Don't you ever let anyone stop you doing what you want, Bronnie, she said. Promise that to this dying woman, please. I promised, and went on to explain how I was fortunate to have an amazing mother who had taught me independence by example. So that's Bronnie's mum. Look at me now, Grace continued. Dying. Can it be possible? I've waited all of these years to be free and independent, and now it's too late. There were no denying that this was a tragic situation, and one that was going to be a constant reminder to live my own way. In a bedroom dotted with sentimental artifacts and photos of her family, we shared hours of conversations over those first few weeks. Her decline was happening quite fast, though. Grace explained that she wasn't against marriage, not at all. She thought it could be a beautiful thing and a great opportunity to grow through shared learning. What she was against was the doctrine of her generation, stating that you had to stay in a marriage, regardless of anything. And so she had, all the while forfeiting her own happiness. She dedicated her life to a husband who took her love completely for granted. Now that she was dying, she didn't care what people thought of her, and anguished over why she hadn't worked this out sooner. Grace had kept up appearances and lived the way others expected her to, only now realising the choice to do so had always been her own and was based on fear. Although I offered support, including the need to forgive herself, the fact that it was all now too late continued to overwhelm her. Most of my assignments went on this one-to-one kind, longer-term clients who I would care for until they passed. There came to be many others dotted in between these, though, over the years, clients who I would just see a few times in between their own regular carers. These words from Grace, filled with anguish, despair and frustration, became familiar words from many others I also came to meet. Of all of the regrets and lessons shared with me as I sat beside their beds, the regret of not living a life true to themselves was the most common one of all. It was also the one that caused the most frustration, as the client's realization came too late. It's not like I wanted to live a grand life, Grace explained in one of the many conversations from her bed. I'm a good person and I didn't wish harm to anyone. Grace is one of the sweetest people I'd ever met and wouldn't have been capable of harming anyone anyway, it just wasn't in her. But I wanted to do things for me too, and I just didn't have the courage, she said. Anyone else feeling like that? Things you wanted to do in your life and so far you've shit your pants and you just haven't had the courage to do it? Grace now understood it would have been better for everyone had she been brave enough to honour this desire. Well, everyone except for my husband, she said, with disgust towards herself. I would have been happier and I would have not let this misery permeate our family for decades. Why did I put up with him? Why, Bronnie, why? Her heartbreaking sobs burst out and continued to flow as I held the dear lady close. When her tears subsided, she looked at me with fierce determination. I mean it. Promise this dying woman that you will always be true to yourself, that you will be brave enough to live the way you want to, regardless of what other people say. The lace curtains blew softly, allowing the day outside to enter the bedroom as we looked at each other with love, clarity, and determination. I promise, Grace, I already am trying to, but I promise you now that I will always continue to do so, I replied, with a heartfelt truth. Holding my hand, she smiled, knowing that at least her learning wasn't going to be totally wasted. Explaining to Grace that for over a decade of my adult life, I'd worked in those unsatisfying banking administration and management roles. She started to understand me more and listened with great interest. Further years in banking had been added to this tally later when I'd returned from overseas, but I called those my weaning years, weaning myself out of the industry. I had to do that, weaning myself out of retail back in 2000, when was that, 4? Something like that, 2003, 2004, 2005. I'd completely weaned myself off it by 2006 when I got out of there. But maybe you're stuck in a job that you're like, you know what, I'm doing this because I feel like everyone else should, it's what everyone else expects of me, but I really don't want to do it. And you are kind of stuck. Give me some comments, let me know. I can see hearts and stuff coming through, and I could see people retweeting and stuff before, but I couldn't see comments. I didn't know if that, I could initially, but I didn't know if that was because people were just listening to the book, or if comments on Periscope aren't playing very nicely. Just give us something, just let me know that Periscope is working, just so that I know before I carry on. Otherwise, I'm just basically going to be talking on my own tonight, guys. I can see you all watching, but we just can't communicate through the comments. Sometimes Periscope does updates, you see, and they don't always go well. I can't see any comments, you see. And I know you wouldn't have gone this long normally without saying anything. I'll carry on reading, but yeah, keep trying to leave some comments because hopefully we will be able to have a chat at some point. I'm going to skip a couple of pages. This is on to just a couple of other themes within this chapter, but hopefully you're getting the gist for it already. She goes on to say, artists the world over are a misunderstood lot. And everyone in here, if you're an actor and stuff, you're classed as an artist, right? She goes, I was an artist, I just hadn't realised it yet. All I knew was that selling insurance products to people just wanting to bank their paychecks was really not up my alley. The branch sales at the end of the month held absolutely no relevance to me whatsoever. I didn't care about anything except giving the customers friendly, warm service, which I did very well, but that wasn't enough in the changing face of the banking industry. It was all sell, sell, sell. They say, though, that we must do more to avoid pain than we do to gain pleasure. So it's when the pain becomes too much that we finally find the courage to make changes. Until then, the pain within me was just continuing to fester until it did reach breaking point. So she'd been in banking for like donkey's years. Got to the point where she's like, I just can't do this anymore. This is not me living a life true to me. And I was exactly the same. I was living in retail. I'm like, this is not a life that I should be living at all. I need to get out of this. It just took me 11 years to get that courage. And I look back now and I'm like, my God, why did I let it take 11 years? She says the pain I had accepted from others, because she talks about people, expecting her to stay in that industry, had been their own suffering projected onto me. And that's what happens a lot of time. People who want you to live a life for them, it's because they're going through pain and they want to project that onto you. Happy people do not treat other people that way. They don't judge others for living a life true to his or herself. If anything, they respect it, recognize the pain, carried into my generation from previous ones, because, she was saying, her generation, you just did as your parents kind of wanted. I had the choice to break free of it, though, in my own life. I was never going to be able to control another and had no desire to. People change because they want to and when they are ready. This didn't just apply to family relationships, of course. It was relevant to all relationships, personal, public, and professional. We all suffer at some time. We all have pain, every one of us. But learning how to develop compassion for myself was harder. And I didn't know how at the time. It was going to take years. I didn't know how long it was going to take at the time. It was going to take years. We're also hard on ourselves, unfairly so. Learning to give myself loving kindness and acknowledge that I too had suffered enormously was such a difficult change to make. It was almost easier to listen to unfair opinions from others and take them on, as it was so familiar. It may not have brought happiness, but learning to be kind to myself and give myself compassion about everything else was certainly a process I had to grow into, but the healing had at least now begun. And then she says, after sharing all of this with Grace, we grew closer without effort. She agreed that all families have their learning. She couldn't think of one family that hadn't had its challenges, and believed that families bring the greatest gifts of learning for most people. We discussed how the only way to experience love is to accept people totally as who they are and have no expectation of them. While it may be much easier said than done, it was the most loving approach possible. Grace shared many stories with me, reflecting on her life of the children growing up, the neighbourhood changing, then often back to her dying regret. She wished she'd had the courage to live a life true to her own heart, not the life others expected of her. Where there is limited time left, there is little to lose by being totally honest. What we shared with each other now was straight to the core of important things. There was no idle chatter anymore, as all of the subjects covered were deeply personal. Opening up to Grace was unexpectedly very healing for me, and my listening ear became healing for her. Eventually, we also came onto the subject of where my life was now, my musical directions. So Bronnie had gone into some musical stuff. My musical directions and how I'd started to write songs and perform. Fanny, you started doing this. Over a cup of tea, Grace insisted I bring my guitar to work the next day and play her something, which was an absolute pleasure for me. With a heart of happiness, I sang to Grace as she smiled and hummed. Sitting up in a bed, she embraced every song I shared, receiving them as if each one was the best song in the world. Her family too came to hear some of them and was equally beautiful and supportive. One song in particular Grace absolutely loved, as she had always wanted to travel. It was called Beneath Australian Skies. After that day, she would ask me to sing to her regularly. There was no need for a guitar, Grace had said, so I'd sit there in a bedroom singing to this delightful old lady as she closed her eyes, smiling, absorbing everything I sang. Songs were requested over and over, and I never tired of singing them to her. Each day, Grace's health deteriorated. Her tiny size reduced even more. Old friends came to say their goodbyes. Relatives sat by her bed chatting and fighting back their tears. Her family was a hands-on one, very involved, and their visits regular. I liked that. There was also gentleness in them that I was drawn to. When they were all gone, though, it was just Grace and me again, and the request for more singing resurfaced. They were special times. She was not able to walk well now, and though Grace had accepted the use of the commode by the bed, she refused when it came to her bowel movements. She wanted to use a proper toilet, so I didn't have to clean the commode. There was no budging her on this. Even when I tried to assure Grace it was no big deal for me to do so. So ages passed as we made our way to the bathroom, which thankfully was next to a bedroom. She was very weak, though. When the business was done and she was clean, I assisted her with standing up and pulled up her underpants, balancing her while doing the undies thing. Had to be quite a swift move. It's all just stuff, man, that's like, it's that dignity thing again, innit? When you get something like this, it's so hard, isn't it? As we then started our hike back to the bedroom, Grace leaning on a walking frame and me following, holding her hips, I noticed that in the rush I had tucked a little of her nightdress into the back of her underpants. Smiling at this dear little old woman in her last days, tottering back to bed, I was then overwhelmed with joy as she started to sing Beneath Australian Skies as she walked. A few of the words were in the wrong places, but that just made the moment even more endearing. I knew then that I just experienced the high point of my musical career. Nothing that could ever happen again would ever top the joy I experienced at that moment. If I never wrote another song, it would not have bothered me. To have brought this dear person so much pleasure through my music, and to then receive that pleasure back by hearing her singing my song in her final days, opened my heart more than anything I'd ever hoped for musically. Arriving at work a couple of days later, it was obvious that today was to be the last for Grace. Explaining that I was going to call her family, she initially shook her head. No. Weak and exhausted, she reached up and hugged me. To save her little arms the effort, I lay on the bed and held her in my own. She liked that, and we lay talking softly for a while as her fingers stroked my arm, asking why she didn't want the family there. She said that she didn't want to cause them any more pain. She loved them too much. But they needed to say goodbye, I said, and not giving them that choice may end up causing them both pain and guilt that they would have to live with. She understood and agreed, accepting that she didn't want them to feel guilty for not being there, so phone calls were made and the family soon arrived. But just before they did, she said to me through her exhaustion, "You remember our promise, Bronnie, don't you?" Nodding through my tears, I said, "Yeah. Live true to your own heart. Don't ever worry what others think. Promise me, Bronnie." Her voice now a barely audible whisper. "I promise you, Grace," I said gently. Squeezing my hand, she drifted off to sleep. waking again only for a brief moment to acknowledge her lovely family, who then sat by her bedside until the end. Within a few hours, Grace drifted off. Her time had come. Sitting quietly in the kitchen afterwards, my promise to her was still fresh in my ears. But it was not just Grace I had made the promise to, it was also to myself. Standing on stage, launching my album a few months later, I dedicated that song to her. Grace's family was in the audience too. The spotlight blacked out most of the faces, but I didn't need to see them. I could feel the love they were sharing as I remembered that dear little woman who hadn't lived as she wanted, but who had inspired me to instead. Oh, it's so sad that, isn't it? And I can't even talk to you guys because the comments aren't working. But I just think it's such a powerful story. And these are all true, all right? These stories haven't been written for effect or like for ego or anything like that. They're all super, super true and authentic stories. And it's just like, I get quite emotional then reading it. It's so sad to think, that one day, I think it's so sad to think that obviously we're going to have to go one day anyway. That's just pretty devastating in itself. But to go with that regret of going, my God, like, this is it. I don't have another go at this. And I wish I did. It must just be the hardest thing. I try and remind myself of it and remember that every single day when I get scared to do something, or I'm like, oh, should I do that? Or maybe that's a risk or that kind of stuff. And I'm like, you know what? Just continue to bet on yourself. And that's the message for this Periscope. Is like, you must bet on yourself. Every time you let fear or somebody else talk you out of something, or you live a life for someone else that isn't true to yourself, I've said this before, you might as well be walking into the bookies, guys, and just throwing like money down, betting against yourself, going, yeah, you know what, it's like, this is like nothing compared to the grand scheme of things, but a friend of mine wanted to buy a laptop the other day and was like, he wanted to start up an online business, and it doesn't have very much money right now, disposable income, and he's like, look, all I have is 250 quid, and I was like, that's a real shame, because if you had, and this is a lot more, like, $1,000, you could get something that's going to really expedite what you want to do. And I don't want to remotely promote people getting into debt, but I was like, look, if you've got a credit card and you can afford to pay off 1,000 quid at like 100 quid a month, do that. Because otherwise, what you're doing by just taking the 250 quid option, which you might then go, when times get tough, oh, that was only 250 quid, I'm not bothered about my business anymore. When you invest a little bit more and you spend a little bit more and you have a little bit more fear, and there's a bit more on the line, it makes you work so much harder. And by only spending that 250 quid, he might as well have been going and putting that other 750 quid that he was saving in the bookies and saying, you know what, Lee won't make a success of his business because he can't even convince himself right now he's going to make £1,000 back if he spends £1,000. And you go, well, there's no point in setting up a business. If you don't think you can make that £1,000 back in your business over the next 10 years, you'll have that laptop, you might as well just not even start. So you've got to just continue to bet on yourself, be your biggest fan. If you are not your biggest fan, just nobody else is going to be a fan of yours. And we just don't want to get to the end of our lives, guys. It motivates the shit out of me, but it petrifies me at the same time. To get to 85, 90, I want to get to 100. You all know I want to get to 100. It's like my biggest goal in life. Because I quite fancy Kate Middleton, and she's going to be queen. Although I don't know if I'll fancy her when I'm 100, and she's probably 100 as well. But yeah, I'm like, I've got to get to 100. I don't want to get to 100 and go, oh, you know what? Yeah, that business I wanted to start, or that acting job that I wanted to do, or that scripts I wanted to write, or that song I wanted to write, or just whatever it is, still in here. And it's not out there, and I didn't even give it a chance. I didn't even try and get it out there. So it's just really powerful to go, you don't want to get to the end of your life. We've all got to learn from Grace tonight. Bless her. She's a real person up there. Hopefully living a better life than she lived when she was down here. But we don't want to get to that point and then go, right, it wasn't, that wasn't a dress rehearsal and we just didn't realise it at the time. I really wish I could communicate with you guys and you could give me some comments, because I'm sure you've got a lot to say on it. I'll throw these slides back up for you. There's Bronnie again. And I just wanted to ask you this. Yeah, I've got this slide here, guys. It just says, seriously, ask yourself this before you go to sleep tonight. Are you really in capital letters, are you really living in your authentic truth, as I would say right now? And your authentic truth is where you can look yourself in the eye, in the mirror, and go, you know what? You are getting up and doing what you want to do and living the life you want to live every single day. And if you're not there now, you are working damn hard towards it. And that in itself is you living authentically. It's not you accepting you have to be stuck in a job that you hate. You have to be stuck in a relationship you hate. You have to be stuck in a house that you hate. You have to be stuck in a part of the country that you hate, a part of the world that you hate. Because it doesn't have to be like that. It really doesn't. There will always be a way. There will always be a way. I promise you. You might not see it yet, but there will always be a way to get yourself away from the life you're living now. If it isn't living in your authentic truth, and move towards that authentic truth. You know, let's not get to the end of our lives with the regret that we've heard about in this scope tonight. So I put there, go forth and be unapologetically you. For you. Because I promise you, God forbid, but if any of us got diagnosed with a terminal illness this week, I promise you, all that shit that you are worried about today and this week or whatever, you would not give a beep about. You really, really wouldn't. And that's what Grace found, you know. You wouldn't dream of letting somebody wipe your backside right now. You get terminal illness, you won't give a shit about that. There's way more important things in your life than all the stuff that you're actually worried about now. So yeah, I hope you found that, you know, powerful. We will be doing another regret next week. Like I say, these aren't like these aren't supposed to be like they're morbid or anything, right? These are supposed to inspire and motivate you not to have these regrets at the end of your life. We've got I was gonna ask you a vote on which one you wanted to look at, but you can't even communicate. I'm gonna read them, and I'd like people to tweet me after this. Tweet at Act on This TV and tweet at Ross A Grant. Okay, tweet us both and let me know which one of these you'd like us to read next week. The regrets are, you'll be interested in knowing what these are. See if you're living with any of these right now. So the first one we just read was, I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. The other one, regret number 2, is I wish I hadn't worked so hard, which I find is an interesting one because, you know, I'm all about the hard work, but I do see, and I experienced in 2016, how that can take you away from your friends and your family. And that was something I wanted to address this year, so that I made and I scheduled in, and I still do. We just scheduled today breakfast with my best mates on Sunday morning, so that I don't spend all my time just working. It's like I've got to spend quality time with the people that I really love and care about, because ultimately, again, when I'm on my deathbed, I'm not going to be saying, as much as I love actonthis.tv, I'm not going to be saying, guys, get me my laptop. I just want to have one last look at my homepage. I'm really not going to be asked about any of that. I'm going to be like, guys, like, I just want everybody, you know, around me who I care dearly about. So that was the second one. I wish I hadn't worked so hard. The third one was, I wish I'd had the courage to express my feelings. We all have done this as well, man. We all hold back our feelings. That's someone who you like. You don't tell them. You wait for them to say something. They never say something. You miss out on relationships, or a relationship you're in you don't like. You don't say anything. You don't get out of, or a boss you're working for who you think's a dick, and you never say anything because you can't express your feelings, and then he just ends up being a tyrant, and you know, just have a miserable life. All kinds of things like that. Expressing feelings is a big regret of people where they haven't been able to do that. Number 4, I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. Again, I just mentioned it, something that I'm trying so hard to do. You know what? And you shouldn't even have to try hard, should you? I think I'm quite just hearing myself say that. I think, God, you shouldn't have to try hard to stay in touch with your friends. It should be a priority and a pleasure. And then number 5 was, I wish, and this is a big one. This is like, I was talking to my mum about this before. I said that when I was telling her I was doing this book, I was like, this is one that I think is the biggest. And that's, I wish I had let myself be happier. Because it's a fucking choice. I wish I'd have let myself be happier. We did the whole book on book club last month on the present and giving yourself the gift of the present, living in the present, being present, appreciating what you have now, not worrying about the future and fearing the future and regretting the past. But yeah, I wish I'd let myself be happier. So let me know on Twitter, tweet at Ross A. Grant, at Act on This TV, whether you want regret 2, 3, 4, or 5. 2 is I wish I hadn't worked so hard. 3 is I wish I'd had the courage to express my feelings. 4 is I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. And 5 is I wish I'd let myself be happier. So 2 is working hard. 3 is expressing feelings. 4 is staying in touch with your friends. And 5 is letting yourself be happier. Let me know whether you want 2, 3, 4, or 5 on Twitter. So I hope that's useful, guys. I so wish I'd have been able to speak to you tonight on the comments. For those who are watching this on the replay or listening on the Act on This TV audio experience, because all of the Periscope audio now goes onto iTunes on the audio experience and on Stitcher. Massive shout out to you guys who are just listening on the audio. Come and join us next time live on the Periscope app, and hopefully you will be able to chat and communicate like normal. People can leave comments. It was working at the beginning. Don't know why it stopped working, like 10 minutes into it, but apologies for that. That's just Periscope servers. I can't really do much about that. But yeah, subscribe, guys, to the Act on This TV audio experience. I'm putting so much more content out on iTunes. It's such a great platform. Tony Rossi's just tweeted to say that he wants number 5, so at least I know you're all still watching. You're tweeting me now. I think Scott just direct messaged me as well, so I appreciate you for staying on. Yeah, subscribe on iTunes. It would mean the world to me, guys. If you go over to iTunes, or if you've not got an iPhone, go to Stitcher.com, and in either the iTunes store or Stitcher.com, just search for Act on This TV, all one word, and you'll find something called the Act on This TV audio experience. And I'm now uploading all the audio from these Periscopes, random phone calls that I make to, famous actors and industry people that I'll just put on there, rants that I have, any Facebook Live video I do, I'll just rip the audio and put it up there, because it means people can download the audio onto their device before they go out the house, and then they're not using up data when they're out of the house, or they can just catch up on stuff when they're jogging or walking the dog, driving the car. That's for you guys, so you can always feel connected, but you don't always have to sit in front of a screen and watching a video. And the other thing is, like I mentioned at the beginning, come and follow Act on This TV on Instagram. I did an Instagram story today, which is like, I must have done 20 clips on the story. If you click on the icon for when you follow Act on This and you go into the profile, you click on the blue icon, like the profile picture, you get to watch people's stories. You'll see me at the voiceover gallery today doing a voiceover job for a company. We're doing a new app. And then, for those who watch Judge Rinder in the UK, it's wicked. The guy called Charles Foster, who narrates Judge Rinder, he's the guy, he sounds like an elderly gentleman, goes, David is in court today to sue Jim for selling him this computer, or, whatever. They always have, crazy things on Judge Rinder. And Tony, you won't have a clue what we're talking about in the States. Judge Rinder's a UK program. I got Charles, he was in doing some voiceover for Judge Rinder. I got him to do a little thing where he went, today Ross is in the voiceover gallery. Go and watch the story. It's quite funny. And then I'll always keep people updated with a book club on the Instagram story. I'm just going so hard on it in March to see the traction that it can get and to develop some strategies that I can then use in my own acting career and then teach you guys. I think it's powerful. And like I say, I think attention on there is definitely underpriced. Not many actors are looking at it for promotion of their careers, and I think the ones who do can capitalize on it, because there's a shitload of producers on there, a load of directors, and a load of writers and other actors, and all people seem to be doing is taking pictures of their dinner, their drinks, and the odd snap of their dog, or a field or something like that. I've been guilty of that myself in the past, but I'm like, man, why are we not using this platform to showcase ourselves? I've got some ninja tricks that I'm going to be sharing with you guys, so you can do that too, which is really, really cool. So thank you for watching. I'm going to end, guys, on another one of my mate Nav's videos. So Nav BK, one of my friends, he has a channel on YouTube called Absolute Motivation. If you're not subscribed to that as well, get over to Absolute Motivation. But this just tied in, this video that I'm going to play you just tied in with the theme for tonight, and all about regret, and ultimately just fucking believing in the hero that's inside of you, right? Because in every single one of you there really is, I swear, man, in the Bulletproof Actor course that I do, it's opening again in June, go to bulletproofactor.com, I do a whole module on something called Unleashing Your Inner Hero. And it might sound a bit cliche, but it's fucking so true. You all have the capacity to be this person in your life if you choose and you allow yourself to be that, that person. So this video is on finding that hero inside of you. It's a bit like the M people, innit? Search for the hero inside yourself. That's why I was never going to be a singer. I'll stick to the acting. Right, so here it is. Thank you so much for watching. I really would love to have chatted to you. I'm sorry the comments haven't worked, but continue to tweet me, and I will see you on Monday night for Motivation and Mind Hacks. Before then, though, I'm about to put out audio on the iTunes podcast or on Stitcher. Like I say, if you've not got an iPhone, go to stitcher.com, search for Acts on This TV. You can still get all the podcast stuff on your Android or whatever, whatever phone you're using, Windows phone or anything like that. So enjoy this video, guys, and I will catch up with you again soon. Thank you so much. Just get out there and just live an authentic, truthful version of you, all right? I'll catch up with you soon. Bye for now.
It's not who you are underneath. It's what you do that defines you.
There's only one thing that's impossible, and that's to be a man that doesn't give up.
Some people you will allow to unnerve you, and you wonder, what's wrong with me? I'm not crazy. That's why you've got to learn to make a conscious, deliberate, determined effort to stand up inside yourself. Working on yourself, watching that inner dialogue, it will determine the quality of your life.
Realists are not afraid to look at the harsh circumstances of life. They sharpen their eye by paying keen attention to details, to people's intentions, to the dark realities hiding behind any glamorous surface.
And you've got to learn how to tune out the critics outside and the critic inside.
You are more alone than you imagine. This should not be a source of fear, but of freedom. When you prove to yourself that you can get things on your own, then you experience a sense of liberation. You are no longer waiting for people to do this or that for you, a frustrating and infuriating experience. You have confidence that you can manage any adverse situation on your own. Think of it this way. Dependency is a habit that is so easy to acquire. We live in a culture that offers you all kinds of crutches. Experts to turn to, drugs to cure any psychological unease, mild pleasures to help pass or kill time, jobs to keep you just above water. It is hard to resist. But once you give in, it is like a prison you enter that you cannot ever leave. You continually look outward for help, and this severely limits your options and maneuverability. When the time comes, as it inevitably does, when you must make an important decision, you have nothing inside of yourself to depend on.
But in the end, the most important thing is, what's the purpose of your life? Why are you here?
You got to jump. You got to take that gift that's packed away on your back. You got to jump off that cliff and pull that cord. You can play it safe and deal without the cuts and the tears. And you can stand on that cliff of life forever safe. But if you don't jump, I got another promise I can make you. Your parachute will never open. You'll never know.
You're gonna take a beat, you're gonna take this, you're gonna get knocked out, you're gonna get up, but you gotta work hard.
This 24 hours belongs to me. Right. And whatever I do in this 24 hours will determine where I'll be tomorrow and the next day. And I think that's what people need to focus on. Like, get off of this, I want to make 6 figures. I want to drive this car. I want to live in this house. I think what people should be focusing on is, I have 24 hours. Like, Oprah only has 24. Yeah. Bill Gates only has 24. Like, Warren Buffett only has 24 hours. And in that 24-hour period, I can either break my life or make my life.
True wins, true losses, true life. I just realized that if you say it to yourself and you look yourself in the eye and look yourself in the mirror and truly, truly believe that not a man alive can beat you, then that is the way it is. And putting it out there for the world to see and then going out and doing it. There's no better feeling in the world than that. And it's as easy as that. Say what you're gonna do and go and do it.
So listen to me. There are those of you saying, I want to be a millionaire. I want to be the best at this company, right? But your value system says you believe in sleep more than you believe in grinding. Your value system says you are a consumer and not a producer. that you're spending more money than you're making. Why? Because you're a consumer, but you're reading all the books and you're saying everything the books are saying, but those books are not in alignment with your values. And if you're going to go to the next level, your values are going to have to change.
Talent and good intentions are never enough in this world. You need to be fearless and strategic.
You're driven by your need to please others. If you're driven by your fear, if you're driven by your past, maybe it's time to free yourself. And the way to do it is decide. Decide consciously what you want your life to be about. Decide consciously what's the purpose of your life.
I will not go gently into that good night. I will rage against the dying of the light. I will practice random kindness and senseless acts of beauty, because minds are like parachutes and they only function when open. And Timothy Leary was right. In order to use your head, you've got to go out of your mind. It all comes down to controlling and mediating our attention. So if you are a wonder junkie, if you believe as Carl Sagan did that understanding is a kind of ecstasy, if you are hungry for the sublime, learn to control your attention. Learn to control your mind, your thoughts, because your creative and linguistic choices, the very words you use to map your reality, feed back into your reality. You are the painting, you are the paintbrush, you are the canvas, you are the question, you are the answer to the question you are looking for. You are also, my friends, the question. You are everything. We are everything. We are sentience. We are consciousness, the most sublime, miraculous thing in the universe. So you better be having a good time and authoring your fate. Turn your life into a living, breathing work of art, because anything less would be a tragedy.
It's only after we've lost everything that we're free to do anything.